What if I can show you a blueprint that's worked for over 5,000 properties that I personally worked across all our different clients, and that's probably generated us over 20 million on sales for this client. And the most important thing here is I want you to understand how this can relate to getting you the highest quality guests and long-term guests in your property. Now, look, I'm going to take you actually into a client account right now, which we're working with, and that's doing around 1.7 million on revenue, and hoping that I think by the time they're tracking over 300,000 pound a month on sales, they should be doing about 2.3, but working with us, we're pushing it to hopefully 2.5 million for the year in revenue. So let me take you into the account first. So I'm going to quickly show you the account that we're working on, which is currently sitting around 1.7 million on revenue on year to date, and yeah, in track hopefully to be doing 2.5 million. Now also what I realized was being data rich, which basically means obviously, you know, showing them when do they check in, when do they check out, how many guests stay in, what's their reason for stay. That's a huge part. A lot of operators forget to qualify in prior when that lead comes through into the business. You know, is there a potential chance of them extending? Can they give you more information about the company or the location they're going to work on? Because eventually you might end up having another 20 people that's going to come into that location which needs accommodation. You know, all of this data can really make either charge more nightly rates, increase the opportunity of making profit, but more importantly, really dealing with this inquiry, right, in the best way possible. Now, this is an incredible strategy. Now, it doesn't matter if it's from Airbnb, be booking.com, be direct, we know that it works. A little bit background about myself and why I talk about sales. So when I first started working for 3 Mobiles, and that was in 2010, I jumped in as a salesperson, and all I did was sell and made money for 3. Now, I've made multiple millions for 3 when I worked for them. Obviously became a top 20 sales manager and led a whole store, and eventually I realized that I was actually running a business because I was accountable for the store to open and close down. I was accountable for the sales to do well, and eventually I realized that I was only being paid an X amount to run that whole business, but the idea was you were the manager of the store. Now, over the last 10 years in my business, I have led all my sales team. Obviously right now in GrowYourBnb, I lead the sales team. I make sure that every single customers and clients are going through the same journey. So it really gives me an opportunity when I work with clients, our clients, and potentially people who are looking to convert those direct booking, longer term booking. That's the exact framework that I want to show in this video, where you guys can take in, wrap it up in your business, and be able to convert those high sales and eventually make a lot of money within the business. Now, a few years ago, working with bigger clients, with especially people who's got over like that 100+ property, this framework that we implemented really worked. And I thought, do you know what, it doesn't matter what size business you have, right? Eventually it's the framework that works. So it really got, when I started sharing with our clients, and smaller and big, and we started implementing this into their business, it really made a huge difference. So let's go into it now, and let's go, that couple of points that I want to make sure that you implement in your Airbnb business right now to get the results that you guys deserve, especially with those high profitable bookings and long-term bookings. Now, you might think, Piers, actually there's thousands of your clients using this exact strategy, so is it already saturated? The usual rent-to-rent stuff. People go, there's already thousands of properties, they're already saturated. And I'm always saying, look, there is enough lead in your investment area to serve a lot of operators if you know what you're doing, firstly, and also if you understand the blueprint that makes you special. Because look, let's go into this video with why do people buy. So you've now got a current reality. Now, in your property business, in your Airbnb business, the reality may be you've hardly converted a direct booking. The desired reality is you're thinking, actually, I'd like to make sure that 90% of our bookings are direct. When you're working with sales, you'll realize that what are the obstacle, what's the criteria that's stopping you achieve those reality, or the desired reality that you want to, achieve, which is that 90% of direct bookings. So now kind of think about your business now, right? Now, all it needs is clarity. Now, your potential next guest is probably thinking, shall I just use Airbnb to book that property? Are they thinking, oh, is it the right price on Airbnb? Because if I book, direct, some guests are now clever enough to know that, potentially direct, they can get good deal. They're probably thinking, is that location right? So there's got a couple of questions, which is, again, if you think about the current reality, we're talking about your potential guests, they've got loads of questions in their head to see why is that the way they should take to get the desired outcome or the desired results? So now we're going to break it down into those behaviors and think why and how you can prepare yourself to get those leads, but also that blueprint of converting those leads. So let's set up a sales process blueprint in your business so that your business can follow, regardless if you're one-man army right now, you're the only person doing it, or if you've got a VA who's going to convert this for you. So let's go into it right now. So now you can see from the diagram here that you've got a couple of things that you really want to flow in the chart. So the first one is the inquiry. The second one being the second email and WhatsApp. Third process being expiry or closing that text. Fourth process being on hold. The fifth process being awaiting payment. Obviously one, which is you've converted that lead and you've potentially lost. So you might have lost that sale. So let's now go into a little bit around each of those blueprint and how you can utilize it into your business. So inquiry, the first one. So when an inquiry comes through, what you should do is you should have a sales CRM system, or you can do it in a spreadsheet. All you're doing is you're logging that information that I initially said on that video. So first thing, where did that inquiry come from? What was that direct booking inquiry for? Or was it a conversion from OTA? How long are they going to stay? What are their check-in dates? The reason for stay, company name, any information that you can leverage to give them that best deal, right? The best monthly deal, potential deal that's coming to your business. So that is the first inquiry section. Now, the idea behind this is even if you set up on let's say a spreadsheet, it's gonna be there forever. That's my first goal. I want you to be able to log that somewhere, regardless. You might be out there on the go and you've forgotten to, a lot of operators do, they've forgotten to go and add this into their sales CRM. I want you to build that right now and make sure you're utilizing it. Now, the second step you can see is email and WhatsApp. Now, this is something that I've realized in the sales process that has worked really well for our clients. When an inquiry comes through, a lot of people, what they do is on their blueprint, they're saying, I've given them on the phone, they'll be like, oh, we've got an empty calendar, we charge this much. What generally happens is then you forget, you've forgotten a chance to do follow-up, right? And in this case, if you send them an email, and what you generally do is with an inquiry, you say to them, depending on where you've spoken to them, you say, look, let me send you an email and we'll send you a WhatsApp to let you know that we've done it. So when you send them an email, you've now got a time to study their lead and give them the best deal possible. But then you then go into WhatsApp and you send them a WhatsApp to say, hey, we've just sent you the final version of what we think can offer, we can offer, and that you kind of overdraft on, you can say the check-in dates, but you've now got a solid flow of sending an offer on an email and then also a follow-up on WhatsApp. Now, the third step I would like to say is my favorite, because I can tell you on sales, most money are made on follow-ups. Now, what that means is, now if you look at this third expired and close text, now when an inquiry gets what they want, generally they've got a couple of options for your guests. They're going to either go and shop around, right, because they know what you charge. They either are still looking into other properties and they're definitely looking at they're waiting for other inquiries to get them back to them. But really at this moment in time, what you're doing is, and this is a little hack that Airbnb taught me, where they go, in 24 hours, if you don't respond, they go, your inquiry is about to go down in 24 hours. It literally means nothing, because eventually that customer can really reapply for that kind of stay. So what I want you to do is take that same concept and send them an email to say, hey, we haven't heard from you in the last 24 hours. Your inquiry is about to expire, You can do the same thing on a WhatsApp, right? Because again, WhatsApp has got 80% conversion rate versus an email, you've only got about 5% open rate. So it's a great way to put this system in your business. Now, the fourth step is on hold. So generally what happens with your sales process is a lot of people go, okay, well, they haven't replied. I've sent them the closed expiry, and they basically at that point, to be fair, 90% of operators don't do what I've just gone through. But even if you do that in that process, you could effectively then get a message from them going, oh my God, I know, you've obviously done a follow-up, but we're not actually going to come till next month because our project has been delayed. Now, in that case, a lot of operators, if you've just saved it on your phone, you'll probably remind yourself that you're going to follow up them in 4 weeks time. But on your sales CRM system, if you now copy that lead and then drop it into on hold, that is an inquiry that's currently sat there to build relation, to know, like, and trust, add value, because eventually when they come back in 4 weeks time, you might forget, you might not, but the person that's going to follow up on a weekly basis to say, hey, just to let you know, I've still let your calendar vacant for you to come back on, that it's a great way to build relationship. Now, numbers of things, you can always send them a message on second week saying, hey, is there anything else you want to know about the location? I'd love to help you. The person that adds value is the person that's going to convert. So that on hold step is a crucial part for your conversion. Now the follow-up part can lead into awaiting payment. Now, if this is a blueprint, on the second you've offered them the email and the WhatsApp, at that point, it could eventually, that customer can tell you, hey, we love the property, love the price. Then what that happens generally is you send them an invoice. Now, when you send an invoice, you literally take that customer and you drop them down into a waiting payment section, which basically means that you're literally waiting to be paid. And obviously that is a conversion for the business. So before you move into the other section of the blueprint, you've now got that person on a waiting payment. So this worked really well for me with clients who's got VAs, who's got over 10 properties, because now rather than the owner of the business like yourself messaging your VA going, what's happened with that payment, you can literally open the CRM system and you can literally see that your VA have dropped them into waiting payment. You can see when the invoice has been sent, what the conversation is, and when you're going to get paid. Now, step number 6, if you've won, you obviously take that lead and you drop them into the one section, because I would like to say that you've converted that sale based on your sales funnel and the sales process, the blueprint that you build, versus other people who they're probably like your potential guest now who's staying with you. It has probably inquired to another 5 people and you've probably been the best person who's dealt with the inquiry, added value, much more professional than other people, and eventually also they like your property. So when you drop them into one, you've now converted that sale, which basically means from a sales processes and blueprint, you're thinking at the end of the month, you can now literally go, we've had 20 leads. Out of 20 leads, we've only converted 5 and the 15 that we didn't convert. Now, this is what I'm going to now take you into the next step, which is alongside the one, which is the lost. Now this part, which is the final part, which is the lost, is you've lost an inquiry now where you've sent the third expiry and close text and they haven't replied, and obviously you've lost that lead. You now take that lead, drop them into the lost section. So now this is where the fun begins with this blueprint, right? Because generally what happens with many operators is they forget, when that inquiry came through, they dealt with it a couple of weeks ago, they've given, and life moves on and you're busy with that things and you just forget that inquiry. Now in this case, if that customer sat on lost, you know what date they were meant to check in. So what you do is on that date, you send a small outreach and an email to them to say, hey, just to let you know, I know today was the date you were meant to check in. I hope you've checked into a property that you like. I hope location worked. If you aren't, and let's say you've got a portfolio of property, so if they don't have that property or the property they inquired available, but you have other properties maybe, you can literally text them saying, I know the property that you've inquired is now fully booked. However, if you're not happy with the current properties, we are still available with different multiple properties in this location. Regardless, have an amazing stay. I hope you found whatever you like, and obviously in the best price. So you can see now how that lost lead can really be, and look, you might say, Piers, actually that's pushing, but it's a system that you're trying to build. You're trying to build a CRM sales blueprint that nobody else follows. Now listen, I've seen my bigger clients nailing this process, because what they're doing is they're going, we've got all this property to fill in, we want to get more leads as well, and they are taking their VA, training them through the system, creating the system. Now right now you might not be in that position, but you might have 5-6 properties that needs all of this. So even if your properties are full, you need to make sure this system is working for you, because eventually there'll be a couple of months, winter season coming, that's when you go and tell yourself and your VA to go, let's open the CRM system, 50 leads, we can literally go back to them, know, like and trust, build that relationship, do that right follow-up, and eventually those leads can convert it into sales. So by the way, you can build all of this using spreadsheets, you can put in a CRM system. Obviously there's tons of other stuff that people do. Now we use certain systems and processes for our clients, which I know has worked really well, and for me to be able to give this information, I know for the fact that many operators, many Airbnb service accommodation or operators are sitting there going, actually we don't get direct booking, we're full all the time. I'm like, well, actually that makes no no sense because you're a business. Business needs leads. Even if your property is a full, you need to get organic leads come to your business. Pass it over to somebody else for a commission. There's so many ways you can make money on your Airbnb business, and this is one of the best strategy I can give you to generate a lot of revenue, additional revenue into the business, and making sure that you enjoy a system that you build within the business. So guys, if you're new to this channel, my name is Piers BK from GrowYourBnb and AutomateYourBnb.com. We've helped thousands and thousands of operators around the world to build this exact sales process and systems, brand, and everything to do with growing your Airbnb business. Now look, if you're new to this channel, please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and I would love you to leave a comment down below because I really want to get engaging with you guys. I want to make sure that you guys understand this process. So if there's anything that you don't understand, comment down below and I'll make sure that I reply. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon.